I got a minute. I should put this up on something. See if I can look.
He's a rancher with experience in oil and gas and Main Street business.
I hate using my phone because it never seems to want to. Somebody will call me and I'll just mess the whole thing up. There we go. Perfect. Ah!
We love each other, really.
I can sense the teamwork. I'm saying maybe. All right, give me your guys' names.
I'm Scott.
Scott, Mo, and Danny Joe. Danny Joe. Scott, Mo, and Danny Joe. I like it.
We're a rap group.
We're a rap group. It's gonna be so easy.
Yeah, you just wait, Danny. You just wait, Danny. Yeah, that radio show with us before Are people going to be calling in?
Not unless we want them to.
I don't care.
Listen to that music.
Oh, good Lord.
I was prepped for this. Guys, so prepped.
I'd rather like, is it Tanner Sanders?
Puppets.
Yeah.
Who could resist playing that music at this point in time? And we are here with Black Hills Paranormal Investigators. This is super, super exciting. And we are with Mo, all right, give me the names one more time because I almost memorized them.
Okay, Mo, that would be me.
Okay.
And I'm Scott.
Scott.
And I'm Danny Joe.
All right, Mo, Scott, and Danny Joe. That's where that rhyme scheme came in at. And tip that mic up just a little bit towards you. Yep.
Okay.
All right, so I'd like to introduce you guys separately and kind of if you would like to give a little background on who you are or how you got into the field. And if anybody's just joining us now, we're talking to Black Hills Paranormal Investigators. Is that correct?
Yes. Investigations.
Awesome. Investigations. All right, super. Well, give us your name, where you're from, and kind of how you got into the field.
Okay, my name is Maurice Miller. Everybody knows me as Mo. I'm the lead investigator for Black Hills Paranormal Investigations. Yeah. I've been with the team about 10 years. And I suppose most people have had some kind of experience that got them into this. I'm kind of the opposite. I've been interested in it since I was a young child, and I did all the research I possibly could. And if you look at all the different cultures around the world, the stories, once you peel back the layers of the onion, are the same. So what got me into it was, is there something to this, or is it just part of the human condition?
Gotcha. Well, from a young age, did you see a movie or did you have an experience? Where did that start at in childhood?
I think actually because my mom and my grandmother were very much all into the spiritualism thing, dowsing, Ouija boards, and all this kind of stuff. Oh, yeah. And I paid no attention to it. I was a kid. I was too busy running around chasing girls, riding bicycles, things like that.
Yeah.
But as I got older, I was like, why do they keep doing this? And that's kind of what, sparked my interest.
That's fantastic. And Scott, how about you?
I too never had that experience. I just have always had an interest in it. Been with the team probably 7 years? I think 7 years now.
I think 7.
I'm the case manager, so I'm the first person you ever talk to when you call or you email us. I'm the guy that sets up all the investigations and brings in these guys. And like I said, I've never had that earth-shattering type of paranormal experience. So,
alrighty. And how long have you guys been a group for?
10 years.
10
Black
years.
Hills Paranormal Investigations has been going for 10 years now.
Okay, and you started this, Mo?
No, ma'am. I was with a different group actually originally.
Really?
In Rapid City, Illinois, and we knew Black Hills Paranormal Investigations. Our lead investigator with the old group killed himself, and so of course everybody on the team just kind of went away.
Wow.
And I knew these guys were like, hey, Mom, you want to join us? I was like, absolutely, because we operated the same exact way.
Yeah.
So it was just going, just basically changing hats from one team to the next.
All right. Well, and we can't forget you. We kind of put baby in the corner over there. But all right. Yeah, give us a little background.
So I'm Danny Joe, and I've actually been with the team for just a little over a year. Not the newest member, but almost. And I'm actually the psychic medium on the team. So I bring a different perspective for the team. We kind of met through a strange series of events through a mutual investigation that we both did separately.
Here in Belfouche.
Yes, exactly. It was in Belfouche.
And that actually brought us together, and I've sure enjoyed working with the team and bringing a different insight. So I look forward to.
When did you know that you kind of had this extra gift?
So actually, all of my life, I knew that I was different, but I wasn't quite sure what that meant.
Mhm.
And about almost 4 years ago, I had what I call my spiritual awakening, when I realized that I could actually connect with people who had crossed over.
Wow.
And so since then, I have been pursuing that, and I do that work full time now. So
And when she investigates with us, she never ceases to amaze us with the stuff she comes up with.
Really?
Because a lot of times we can corroborate it with our equipment, which is kind of neat.
Oh, wow. So at the same time she's experiencing something, you're seeing readings on your equipment, which is going to
Or
be
she
like,
will tell us, if you go down the hall and into this room or whatever, this is what's going to happen, and I'll be monkey's uncle. It does.
yeah. Well, and this is kind of funny too, because I'll tell our audience, before when we were sitting in here, you guys were hanging out with me while we are finishing up some community reports. And you were saying you were kind of experiencing something which is incredibly strange, because the original owner of this place recently passed away. I've had some weird things go on the last couple weeks with stuff playing over the AM that couldn't possibly, there's no audio cable running to there from my music program that I had. And so it was just really weird for a couple of days last week.
well, the minute that I walked in, I could pick up a sense of a male that was very significant here, and he felt like he was connected to the business. So, and I could feel that he's very excited that we're here. This interview is exciting to him. He was showing me some different things about living here, some things about, some of the people that have ran the business after him.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I can feel his energy very present here.
She's like a witch.
Wow. And what
Only
do you-
different.
What do you mean by showing you things? Are you getting mental images in your head? Or?
Yes.
Okay.
So the information comes to me in different ways, but I will see images in my mind, I will hear them speaking, and I will feel emotion.
Wow.
And I have a lot of tense energy with me, which makes me feel jittery
Yeah.
because I can feel how strong his energy is here.
Really? And when you hear that, is it different from like hearing somebody speak next to your ear, or
Yes.
first the voice in your head?
It's kind of like watching a little video play inside your mind, and thoughts that you can tell are not coming from outside your head, but they're not your own.
Oh, sure. Wow, that's incredible. And you started experiencing this kind of when?
About 4 years ago, I had an experience with another medium.
Yeah.
And she helped me realize that I actually could also connect with them.
Something you kind of had to tune into?
Yes.
Okay. That makes sense. And then let's talk a little bit about the equipment too, because that's another fascinating thing that I think people are really interested in. What kind of equipment do you guys have? Mo, you want to take this one?
Yeah, we have different types of EMF detectors. We have standard EMF detectors, K2s, which people have seen on the TV. We have millimeters. And
Okay.
then we'll move on to things called periscopes. They don't measure EMF fields. They measure the triboelectric field, and the easiest way to describe that is static fields.
Okay.
So you set these up, they have wands around them, and they'll zero out to the static in the room, and then if something comes by, that's a different static charge, positive, negative, it'll light up and it'll point to where it's going.
Really?
So you can follow it around the room.
That's incredible.
And
And
we have an SLS camera. I'll let Scott, because he operates that more than I do.
SLS.
I don't know how to describe it. I mean, the best way to describe what this camera does is the theory behind it is it picks up spirits, actual spirits in the room or the building or wherever, and it processes them as stick figures. So we can see
Oh.
them through a video camera as stick figures. So if there's nothing, say, in the next room, and we walk over there with the SLS, and all of a sudden a little stick figure shows up,
Yeah.
that might indicate some sort of spirit activity. in the room.
Yeah, it maps in human form. If you were
Yeah.
using it right now on us,
Mhm.
you'd see us plus the stick figure.
Didn't that technology kind of originate in games?
From
Yes,
the Xbox.
From an Xbox.
And then you can take that, just the software part of it, and then utilize it for what you need to.
Right.
How easy is that equipment to transport? Because I know it puts up multiple points of lights, right? And that's how it's measuring
Right.
everything.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
I've never transferred it. I don't know.
I mean, transporting it out to your locations.
Oh,
where
well,
Oh,
you-
it's
it's,
easy.
it's all
Yeah.
its own little, and it's all encompassing now nowadays. You buy it as a unit. So it has a little carrying handle, you
Yeah,
have
it's
your
just a
Kinect
little
camera,
case.
plus your little iPad or whatever, the screen.
The coolest thing about that piece of equipment is that we can generally get spirit to interact with us, asking it to wave or dance or do something specific, and quite often they do.
Really?
Yeah.
That's fascinating.
Which we find fascinating. And, but there's people out there that if they came and saw it, I think it would freak them out a little bit.
Oh, I have no doubt.
Because they're like, holy crap, what am I looking at?
Yeah. Well, and how long have you been using that piece of technology? Because that's pretty almost brand new,
Right,
considering.
about 6 months.
Oh, probably. Yeah. Around 6 to 8 months, probably.
You guys are kind of on the cutting edge part of the investigation?
Yeah.
Well, we don't have a cool recorder like you
yeah.
have.
Yeah.
Well, you're talking to an audio nerd here, so I
Right.
can have the choice.
Yeah.
But what are some of the interesting investigations? We have an audio file here for everybody listening. We've got in a EVP that you guys have noticed that is pretty significant. I've heard it and very creepy. So we'll play that for everybody. But let's talk a little bit about some of your favorite investigations. Do you have any that have stuck out? Scott, you're nodding big time.
No, well, I mean, there's a few. Obviously, Deadwood has tons of active places. The old brothels in
Yeah.
Deadwood is probably, to me, one of the most active places we've ever been.
I do have one audio clip from the brothels too. That is
Oh, really?
just spectacular.
Yeah. And that, I mean, that place is one of those places that it's constant. From the point you walk in to the point you leave, it's nonstop activity. The house we met Danielle in here in Belle-Fourche, that was one of my favorite residential investigations because it was so aggressive and so there was so much activity in that house. You could actually feel it when you walked in. It was crazy.
Wow.
I'll just add here that one of the first things that happened for us that kind of sold the team on working with me was in that house. We were on the second floor, and I was standing at the doorway, and I was doing basically a walkthrough. So I was picking up whatever spirit wanted to tell me about the house.
Okay.
And as I was walking through, I was standing at this doorway, and everyone was standing behind me, and I heard them tell me there's a soft spot in the floor. And I looked at the homeowners and they shook their head like they didn't understand what I was talking about. They didn't know of this. So I walked right over to the spot. And when I did, it dipped.
Wow.
And the team was pretty like,
And we had to walk
impressed.
over and stomp and look like a bunch
What
of
is
idiots on the
happening
floor
here?
to, verify this.
Yeah.
And then it
So-
was spongy, so then we were kind of scratching our heads going, how did that
Oh.
happen?
Out of all the spots on the floor, you knew which
Right.
spot was going to be a
Exactly.
spongy spot.
And she did something else in that house too, where up until the point of the investigation, when we had gone in to do the investigation, the homeowner came up to me and pulled me aside and said she had a dream that night of a body buried in the basement. Nobody on the team knew this. I didn't know this. I didn't tell the rest of the team, and I didn't tell Danny.
Yeah.
And when we walked down to the basement, you found some stuff over in an area where I was standing basically where the body was supposed to be buried,
Okay.
where she had seen it. And she turns around at a point and she points right under my feet and she goes, "There's something buried there, but I can't tell what it is."
And he hopped out of the way, of course.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it just blew my mind because we didn't know about this until 15 minutes prior. And so that was pretty fascinating. And then, of course, the Adams house is
There's
unbelievable.
always activity in the
Always
Addams
activity in the Adams
Give us a
house.
little history of the Adams house for somebody who may not be familiar with it, like
Oh.
myself.
Okay, well, if you know, it's the biggest mansion kind of house, first of all, in Deadwood.
Okay.
And it was built by Harris and Anna Franklin in 1896, I believe. Anyway, it was sold to W.E. Adams, who came here and made his fortune in the grocery business and things like that. Anyway, he passed on, I believe, in 1934. He's the only recorded person that actually died in the home. He had a stroke. He had died, or he had the stroke somewhere else. They brought him home,
Okay.
and then he passed on there. And then shortly thereafter, his wife, she had moved away, and they left the house as it, all the furniture inside and everything. And the interesting thing is, over the years, the house was never vandalized, because even she was telling people she thought the place was haunted.
Really?
It's one of the reasons she moved out,
Oh, wow.
or what they think is one of the
They
reasons
think.
Okay.
she moved out.
Yeah.
And when we give, every October, we have tours, and we work with Deadwood History, and we take people through. And it's not really a tour per se; it's more of an investigation. But there's just more than the 5 or 6 of us. You got 15 or 20 people going through the house with you, but they're using our equipment with us.
Wow.
So when things do happen, it's happening in real time while you're there. We're not making any of it up.
Yeah.
And some people think it's really neat. Some people, not so much.
But by not so much, you mean they're very terrified.
Right.
Okay.
And we've had people that go in there and things happen and they're like, I'm done. I need to leave now.
Wow.
And none of it's scary. They're not going to pull you here and drag you down the stairs, or rip your eyeballs out. Nothing like that.
I love
Yeah, there we go. We'll say that.
And what's funny about the Adams house too is you have a lot of skeptics go in
Sure.
and people that don't believe in this, and a lot of times by the time the tour's over, they're coming to you going, I don't know, something happened to me in there and I can't explain it, and possibly makes a believer out of a skeptic. The house is just so active, you just never know,
Mhm.
you know, something's going to happen. You just don't know at what point it's going to happen or which room it's going to happen. So
skeptics walk in, and at least somebody of a different opinion walks out.
right,
Exactly.
Yep,
If something
a lot of
happens,
times.
and unfortunately, we can't make it happen on command.
Sure.
If we could, we'd be super rich.
Yeah.
I'm excited to be joining the team with for the Adams House tours this year. It'll be my first time, so
Great.
I'm excited to be able to
Yeah.
see the experiences people have and be able to
Yeah.
sense who's around us and maybe predict some of the events that'll happen there.
Wow, that's
And-
amazing.
And it really is fun. I just thought of this because, like I said, we hand out the equipment to the people.
Mhm.
And if somebody goes off, then we'll hold it at arm's length,
Yeah.
like that's the monster.
Yeah.
We're like, oh my god.
That's where it's coming from.
Exactly.
right?
Take this away from me.
There's certain rooms that our equipment goes off in just because of
All the
all the
Sure.
electrical cords and stuff. But we don't tell people that necessarily when they walk in.
When they
So
first walk in, it's
when
see
they
their
walk in and the
reactions.
thing goes just total lights up,
Yeah.
oh, it's fun.
And then you have to tell them, bummer, sorry.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
This one's
wiring on the wall.
electricity.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, one of the greatest kind of explanations that I've heard of when people say, folks don't believe it, to people who don't believe in the paranormal or the supernatural and things like that. It was a sweater explanation. And it said, you see a sweater, it's a beautiful sweater, it's got a cool design, and you really want it. And then, all of a sudden, all my computers are going off and somebody's calling me. This is not a ghost. No, I don't want to take call right now.
I think.
All right, people, stop calling me right now. We're on air. But you see a sweater and you want that sweater. And then all of a sudden you find out it was owned by somebody horrible like Jeffrey Dahmer. All of a sudden you don't want that sweater. However, it does not change that it is simply an article of clothing with
Exactly.
nothing attached to it. And that's not a, what you would call natural. That's now a supernatural belief that the article is imbued with some sort of special power just because of its previous owner. And so for people who will just immediately write off the paranormal as this is impossible, well, we already do things that we kind of believe along those same lines. So it's not a far step to take the science, a little bit seriously and see what you guys have. And so your equipment, you use it on every single investigation.
Yes.
Right.
And then do you, I guess, man, there's so many questions, but you have some of this equipment here.
Yes, I do.
I think we can start off. Do you want to look at some of it and we'll take it that way?
However you want to
Can
do
we
it.
crack open a box and see what's in there?
Sure.
'Cause
Can
I'm
I do it right
excited.
here?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
We'll move Mo's microphone
Yeah.
right here. Maybe Scott, you can.
Going to your theory about the sweater theory and whatnot. There are such thing as attachments, and I can see where people would be afraid of that. I mean, it's always in your face. It's always presented to you on TV or whatnot.
I wanted to see one of these for so.
And that's an old school one because
Yeah.
the new ones, when you hold it down, you can let go and it stays on. I have to
gotta
have
put a penny in
I have
there.
to put a paranormal nickel in there
Yeah.
to keep it going.
I'm holding in my hands, friends, at K2, and I have wanted to get my hands on one of these probably since I was just a wee lass. So this is childhood dreams coming true right now. And
Easy to please you, I guess.
I know. This is for K2.
oh, that's incredible. So explain what else that he's got in the box here, Scott. I don't know if you can see.
Yeah, I
Pull the
can't.
microphone
I'll
up.
let him. Oh, go ahead.
We're gonna wrangle
Mo's
microphones.
Mo's better at describing this.
Yeah, what
You
we have
should
here.
watch on YouTube, by the way. We're live on YouTube,
Can you-
so you can
did
see
you hear
us.
that?
Yeah.
This is just a type of EMF meter, and what it does when it picks up, high amounts of EMF, it'll alarm, and that's me turning it off and on so you guys can hear it.
Yeah.
Now we have 2 or 3 of these. These are really old school ones.
Let's move that. I'll move that microphone
Well,
around.
and I'm
for
gonna
you.
I'm gonna
Okay.
get a different case.
Sure. All right, Mo's gonna transfer cases here, and we're gonna look at even more awesome things.
we've got
So
all
it's taken you guys
kinds of
probably a very long time to amass all this equipment because you've got how many cases? 1, 2, 3,
This is just
4?
the stuff I'm carrying. Now, Mark,
Yeah.
our co-lead investigator, who's not with us, he has his file of stuff. Scott has his.
Yeah.
And all the different people, and we use everybody else's stuff.
So I need a giant boom microphone in here.
Is that better?
That's better. All right, now we can hear you.
Now, this one doesn't look as full, but this has got some newer toys in here.
Oh, really? So what's going on in this box?
Okay, you've seen these before. This is a laser grid. Let me show you. See how it lights up?
Oh, yeah.
And we use those like in a hallway or a room, and it fills the room with dots. And so if anything comes by, a shadow, a moth, or whatever, you see it right away.
Really?
So, and that's kind of neat. And in another box, I have a different type of laser grid. It's not dots. I'll show you in a minute.
Well, you guys got to jump on YouTube and watch this live right now so you can see all the equipment. And this is Black Hills Paranormal Investigations, and we are live on YouTube at the moment. What do we got here, Mom?
Now, this little black box, it looks just like a black box with some fun lights. This is called a geophone.
What is a geophone?
Let me show you.
Like Janet Jackson.
It picks up vibrations. Now, watch the lights.
Okay.
And the more intense.
Oh, yeah.
So when people talk about claims of footsteps and things, let's say in a hallway.
Yeah.
So we'll put this at the end of the hallway with a camera on it, and nobody else is walking around, and all of a sudden that starts going. We're like, uh-oh, what have we captured now?
Sure. Well, that is, I want to put that, oh man. Do you ever set this stuff up in your own homes just to see if there's anything going on? Or do you guys already live in places that you know are haunted or not?
Well, that's an interesting thing, because it's.
That's a good question.
What about your own houses?
Yeah. I mean, I've had activity in my house
Sure.
since doing this. Mine generally doesn't stick around that long. Every so often I'll hear footsteps out in the living room at night or whatever. And I had a whistler in my house one time. It would whistle.
What?
Yeah.
A whistler?
A whistler. Yeah, it would just whistle. I don't know where it all came from, but Mo says he's got stuff in his house.
Yeah, I think we bring stuff home. My wife doesn't investigate with us.
Okay.
Danny's house is probably the portal to hell.
Exactly, yeah. Hers is.
I was thinking I should probably take that piece of equipment home today because my sister and I both got up this morning and I had done a process on a person last night that dealt with a lot of negative energy.
Okay.
And we got up this morning and my sister said, "Oh, Hunter, my son, Hunter's up." And I said, No, he's not. But I heard someone walking. Did you hear that? And she's like, "Yes." So we both went upstairs and he was sound asleep in bed, but we both heard someone walking up and down the hallway. So I will be going home to do a house cleansing, I think.
How do you do that?
So I just go through and smudge the house with sage smoke, Palo Santo, holy wood,
Wow.
do some prayer.
It's kind of interesting to actually watch that because one of the houses we investigated, Danny Joe did do a cleansing after we were completely done.
Yeah.
It was fascinating to watch.
Oh,
It
really?
really was.
Yeah,
I
we've never
bet.
seen it before.
No. And she came, remember you were upstairs and she had her sage with the smoke, right? And it's kind of like a light smoke.
Yeah.
We got in this one room and it just went whoosh. The whole room was engulfed. It was amazing.
Oh, wow.
And we were like, what? You know, like, I can't see.
But cleansed, good to go.
Yep.
After that, is there like a time frame on that?
No,
4
know.
years.
Yeah,
I'm
do
kidding.
you get a
Something that I
warranty
can
on the
feel.
cleanse?
And it's got a
Yeah.
2-week shelf life.
Yeah.
So you're done after 2 weeks.
But well, what do you got here? Mo's got something else in his hand. It's got a little antenna coming out.
This,
and-
well, my batteries are dead in this one right now, but this is called an E-pod, and it's similar to the periscope, so I'll show you a little bit later. And once it zeroes out to the room,
Okay.
and this is another staticky thing, but normally what will happen is if you get close, you see a little green light just went off,
Oh yeah.
and it's got a blue one on there too. But like I said, I got to change the batteries. But the closer anything gets, the lights will either come on or go off depending on the charge in the room.
Wow.
So sometimes it might have 3 lights on,
Mm-hmm.
and then if something comes by, they'll go off.
Okay.
And sometimes they're off, and then if something comes into the room or wherever you're at, they'll come on in the sequence.
That's an incredible little machine. And it's this tiny little round black thing. And if you guys want to jump on YouTube, you can see it right now. We're live. But just looking at this, it's very heavy. Well, I'm sure the battery takes a lot of it too.
Yeah,
but
it does.
it's, got a little antenna. And that
Yeah,
is,
just grab on the end of it. Watch your green light. See?
Oh,
See how
yeah.
it gets-
gets brighter.
To
See,
be
I had
hon-
the lights off in here earlier. With
Right.
To be
everything.
honest, we don't use that a lot.
Not a lot.
No.
Not anymore
Not
because
anymore.
we've got the
We got
periscope.
the periscope.
The
Oh, sure.
periscope is my favorite.
Why is that your favorite? Do
I don't know.
It's
You
just
like
The
the colors?
colors,
Yeah.
they light up the different colors, and sometimes when it comes around and the color is pointing at you, I can feel the energy of the.
Oh, you can't see it. I was seeing if we could see the lights on
Not
here.
much.
Ellen. Not much.
Oh yeah. A little
Barely.
bit.
Barely.
Oh, that'll be fun. Everybody who's driving right now is probably very unhappy they can't be
Right.
on YouTube in this moment.
Or they're crashed.
Exactly. Yeah. Then we'll have to send Danny out to talk to him.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Did you bring a periscope?
Yeah, I think I got one.
Now we're opening more cases. This is like Christmas, but better.
Right. Right. Dun, 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 dun. Here's the periscopes.
What is this? It's got all kinds of little straw. No, those are.
This is the periscope.
This looks like something out of a sci-fi.
Now that's just like what we just had, an E-pod, but it's a little bit different.
Okay. Paranologies. Like
That's-
It is the
paratechnologies.
company.
That's
Yeah.
the company we see. Now see how it just lit up. See what I was doing? It was zeroing out to you.
Oh, I see.
Right.
Oh my gosh.
See?
Okay. It's this weird little thing. It's like if you flatten out a golf ball, cut it in half, and put it on top of a little sun ray of what are these things? Glass or something? Little glass tubes
Plastic.
sticking
They're-
out.
They're plexiglass.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so when you put your hand near one of these tubes that's in this kind of ray formation, it'll light up. And it's not doing it when I'm not there. And it's definitely doing it when I am.
Now, that will only do that when you get real close like that.
Sure.
Otherwise, if you're back away from it, and you try to wave your hand like you are now.
Yeah.
It's not going to set it off.
What is in this little thing that it's setting it off in my hands by it?
Magic.
Magic?
It's magic.
Okay.
Because actually,
I'll go
Danny
with
Joe
that.
makes these for us.
Yeah.
I'm kidding.
I'd be wealthy.
Yeah. But
Not really.
that is amazing.
It is. They're really interesting, and it's fun, especially on the Adams House tours. Let's say, where we have all these people that have just seen this kind of stuff on TV.
Yeah.
We'll set like on a bed or whatever, and we're all standing around away from it, and it goes off,
Sure.
and people, scream. It's ridiculous. We're like, oh, it's all good. This is supposed to happen.
Right. We want that to happen.
Right.
That is a hoot.
But it is phenomenal. In the dark, the lights brighten
Mhm.
really bright, and it'll go around in a circle, or it'll stop on one color.
Sure.
It's really pretty neat to watch it.
And Scott's a really good communicator. When especially when this stuff's going off, he'll ask whatever's doing is, hey, can you make the red one light up or just the green one?
Yeah. Does
And
it?
it does.
Are you guys scared anymore? Do you ever get scared?
Well, I don't think scared. I think you walk into a certain room sometimes and you
And
can feel something
apprehensive.
there.
Okay.
You get the goosebumps and stuff like that. But as far as scared, I don't.
But with what we do, we can't not go in. Even if it feels really weird to us, we have to go, okay, why?
Right.
And go in. Let's find out why this is happening. Is there in fact something in there, or is there just a giant, fuse box that's giving off high EMFs?
Yeah.
We have to find out.
There's things that'll catch you off guard. You walk into a room,
Mhm.
maybe and there's shadow figures in there or something like that. You'll jump for a second. But we've never had that bad experience, like demonic or evil
Like, dude,
experience.
run.
Like
Dude, run.
like the witch over here.
Yeah, the witch.
We've had a
What do
few
you
of
guys
those. And actually, these guys come from a very scientific standpoint. They are I wouldn't call them skeptics, but they find ways to make sure that they're debunking anything that it could be.
Right.
So they only take, evidence that is very accurate or validated. And then I was just going to add, they don't necessarily get scared unless we try to
We
scare them
scare each other.
intentionally.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And we only do that. We must preface this. We only do that if there's nothing going on where you're at.
Sure.
Just
If
when
there's
it's us.
because people, they solicit us for an investigation,
Mhm.
and we'll talk to them. And if it seems like, it'd probably be a good thing for us to go in. And sometimes there's nothing.
Right.
They're mistaking, banging shutters or something, like their heat register banging around up in the ceiling.
Yeah.
And it's times like that when it gets really fun.
Oh.
Especially with Scott, he's so easy to scare.
He's rolling his eyes at this moment.
Only
you
from
guys-
only from Mark. Mark is a master.
Our co-lead investigator, he's really good at it.
Oh,
Yeah.
funny. And you guys don't get paid for any of these. So
No.
all this
No,
equipment,
we don't.
everything else is coming out of your own pockets. Wow. That's got to be a pretty penny at the end of the day after years of accumulation. What do we got here?
This is
He's-
called a binoptic camera.
Binoptic camera?
We have
Bi
two
meaning
lenses
Okay.
when it comes on, and it's not going to work really well. I'm going to have to come over to you now
Okay.
so I can explain.
Your
Here, he
microphone.
can have mine.
Okay. Now we look down and you see.
Oh,
See,
wow.
there's two lenses. Now I'm going to turn on,
Sure.
and this is our IR lights, but you're not going to be able to see
Mm-hmm.
because and how we use this at night, only one side of this is going to light up where you can see it. The other side's completely black because it's a regular camera.
Mhm.
And what we use that for is everybody's heard the story about orbs and things like that.
Yep.
That it's energy. We've never ran across anything like that. It's usually a dust ball or a bug.
Sure.
But if it's its own light source, you see it on the infrared, and if it comes across onto the black side of the screen, and it's still lit up, that makes you scratch your head. Why is it doing that? Because the other camera shouldn't be picking that up.
Oh, wow. Well, that makes sense how that is. I've never even heard of one of those going on.
Now you might like to use these buzz and beep. This is called a millimeter. You
So
might have seen
annoying.
Scott hates them.
I hate 'em.
I think they're awesome. Well, turn them on, and this measures EMFs, and it measures ambient temperature, and it's also got a proximity meter.
Handy little thing.
And let me turn on for the REM, and then we're going to set the sensitivity. Okay, now it's right. Now watch. So if something gets close to it, like if you're holding it out, and all of a sudden it starts going off and nobody's by you, it makes you wonder. And see, right now it's registering the milligauss, the EMFs that we're picking up from your equipment right now.
Oh,
And it has a handy stand, so you stand alone. You don't have to carry it around. So we can have it on the other side of the room with a camera on it, or while we're in there.
Mm-hmm.
And you ask whatever may be in there. Hey, if you walk by this, it won't hurt you. And every once in a while, it'll go off.
I love how you can hear that. All right, let me turn your microphones real quick. We just gotta be. There we go. It's still going off. I'm
That's
sure it
because
loves the
that's
radio.
because, yeah. That's because of,
Where do you guys get all this equipment from? That's a huge question.
there are a few places online that actually make up for the paranormal world for the investigators.
Okay.
Believe it or not, I know it's like a ghost hunters Toys R Us kind of thing, and they have all kinds of neat things. Some stuff's a little, it would be fun, but I don't think it really does anything other than just adds a cool factor to everything.
For example.
I can't remember what it's called now. It's like it's almost like the spirit box, which I'll explain here in a minute.
Yeah.
But it makes this echo sound with it, so it sounds really creepy. And then the box it's in is like steampunked out.
Oh, you're
You know.
talking, the old-fashioned radio.
Right,
Yeah.
and it's not. It's modern technology, but it's super cool. Like for the tours, for instance.
Yeah.
If you set that somewhere, everybody would be, ooh, look at this weird thing.
But you're not looking for the ooh-ah factor. You're
No,
looking
we're
for the
not.
hard science factor.
Exactly.
But as far as where we get this stuff online, I mean, there's only 2 shops that we know of that we shop from. I think 2 or 3.
Right.
Where we get our stuff from. It's not. I wish we could run down to local Walmart, but
The only thing we do get locally are our audio recorders.
Yeah.
And they're just off the shelf regular audio recorders. You can buy one. We have them. Danny has them. Anybody can go buy them.
Yeah.
And there's been times that people ask us, well, should I get one and put that in my house? Sure, it's your house, do what you want, but I will warn you, be careful what you wish for. Because if you do pick up something and you weren't expecting it and you really didn't want to pick up something, now what do you do?
Yeah.
You know,
Call you
sometimes,
guys.
call Danny.
yeah, call Danny. You know, sometimes ignorance is bliss.
Sure.
And then the next thing, remember I showed you the laser grid with the dots.
Absolutely.
Okay, now this one's a little bit different.
Okay.
This is specifically made to put like in a hallway.
Not
And see,
all
it's
the
a
dots,
grid.
it's grid. Yeah.
It's a grid instead.
He's got the square laser thing. It's a very large box. Well,
I don't
pretty
know if
good
it's showing up
size.
really good. No, you can't see
It's
it.
still on the YouTube. You'll have to see it, but it's just emitting a grid of red lasers. So if you
Well,
see something
actually,
pass,
I might let me pop in here. I'm just gonna see if you can see it through the window.
oh sure, we won't be able to hear
They
you.
won't be able to hear you.
That's okay.
Most
He
we gotta
talks-
get him a
he talks
lavalier
constantly.
microphone.
I know.
I should have.
I don't know. Can you see it?
Now I can see it. He's in the other studio, the AM side of the studio, which is dark right now with a very cool laser grid. I would have too much fun setting this stuff up on a daily basis. I
Right,
think.
and it serves
You
us.
get old.
Yeah.
And what we didn't bring, we have an 8-channel DVR system, the cameras that are IR, and we set those up. Of course, we can't bring them in right now.
Right.
And when we go into an investigation, we're going to decide once we go in whether or not we need the cameras, because we do have handheld like Sony handycams and stuff that we carry around also.
Yeah.
So sometimes, the cameras are awesome, and sometimes when we do large places, like we just did a cave recently, which was
What?
kind of
Yeah.
crazy,
Yeah.
but that was so big, there's no way. And
What's-
the cameras, the visual range is only a couple hundred feet, so anything past that's pixelated, and you really can't see anything, and you'll make a lot of mistakes too.
Sure. That's amazing. And anybody who just tuned in, we're talking to Black Hills Paranormal Investigations. And tell us about the cave. I'm dying to hear about the cave.
Okay.
So it's
Oh, what do you got?
Rushmore.
Oh, and this was integral part of the cave at the very end. This is an SB7 spirit box.
We'll go into that here in a second, and we'll tell you why that worked. So we'll
Yeah, but I'll explain it.
He's got a black box with an antenna sticking out of it.
And now normally we have headphones,
Sure.
but let me see. Oh, we're in the radio station. Let's see if it'll work for you though. See, all it does is sweep radio station.
up, I'd
All
like-
it does is sweep radio stations.
Oh, sure. Hey, we got one right here.
Exactly.
And then if
And
they,
you can change the rate also. And if you want to sweep them backwards or forwards, however you want to do it. See, like
we may have,
it's really hard to hear. It's better to have headphones. It's super quiet.
oh yeah, and ours could be blocking out.
Right. But under normal circumstances, how we use this, the theory behind it is that, you're going so fast, first of all, you're not going to pick up a whole station because it's just
Cruising through them. I saw the numbers just flip.
right. And every once in a while you'll get a word, hey, Bob or Sam or 12 or, whatever. And the theory out there is whatever may be out here can pick and choose and use words to communicate with us.
Gotcha.
Now, I don't know if that's true or not, but we've had some pretty compelling results with this thing. And I'll let Scott explain our foray into the cave here just a few weeks back.
Oh, sure. And I gotta know, is that FM or AM that it's scrolling?
It does both. We can choose which we want to use.
I usually do AM because there's not as many AM stations
Right.
out there.
Yeah.
It's more white noise.
Yeah, you want the white noise more than anything else. So, but with the cave, it was Rushmore Cave between Keystone and Hermosa. Great place, a quarter mile from start to finish.
Yeah.
To the back, and we were almost to the back. I mean, we were
3/4 of the way
we were
in.
3/4 of the way in.
Easily.
Which radio signals are not going to come through in that cave.
And
you're
you're-
underground.
You're like 200 feet underground,
Right, right.
under solid rock, so you're not getting a lot of radio frequencies.
And
Sure.
the amount of response. So what we do is we do what we call a blind spirit box experiment, where Mo or somebody will put on headphones and they'll have the spirit box connected and they'll go into a different room and I'll ask questions to where they can't hear me, and they'll yell out the answers that they're getting through the spirit
Whatever
box.
we hear, whatever word comes through, if it's Bob or 27, we're going
Right.
to holler it as soon as we hear it.
Yep.
Okay.
And we try to use it with the same inflection,
Mhm.
like if it's really strong or if it's a female, we'll say, hey, this was a female, that we heard.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And so in a cave, this shouldn't work. I mean, because it's running off these radio signals.
You'd think you'd hear nothing but static.
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
And that's what I was expecting when I went down the walkway, put the headphones on and turned it on. I thought I was just going to hear white noise.
it was constant for about
And-
45 minutes.
And then lo and behold, words start coming, numbers, people. It was really, really weird.
That is odd.
Yeah.
And sometimes when you do it, it's kind of strange. You're sitting there, like Scott said, in a different room. You're isolated from everybody else, and you have to be, so you can't hear everybody else talking or asking questions. But sometimes, and you're listening, and you hear things coming through, and you get just really creepy vibe. Like you get all goosebumps and all kinds of things.
Yeah.
And it's almost like somebody's standing next to you while you're doing this.
Wow. And
It's
so
kind of
what,
interesting.
what kind of spirits are cave dwelling spirits? What are
Pugwudgies.
Yeah.
what?
The Morlock.
I'm kidding.
The
I'm kidding.
Morlocks?
The Morlocks, yeah. Sleestack. What do you call them?
That's not H.G. Wells. That's the guy who wrote the
Yeah,
Cthulhu.
you're right.
Is it H.G. Wells?
Yeah.
Morlocks, yeah. Time
Okay.
machine.
Gotcha.
Yeah. What was interesting though about that experiment when we did that in the cave, Danny and I had gone through 2 weeks prior,
Yeah, I wasn't able to go on the investigation, so we went ahead of time to do a walkthrough.
and so I always do a walkthrough before we do any investigation. And so I took her on this one because she couldn't be there, and she had picked up on 7 spirits in the cave, and
Like the Seven Dwarfs.
yeah, kind of,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, it's in the cave.
yeah. But I
Seven
didn't. The team didn't know this, and so
No.
when he was on the spirit box, I said, "How many spirits are in this cave?" And right away he yells out 7.
Really?
And so,
That's
I mean, it
And I'm like
kinda-
150 feet away from him. I can't hear a word he's saying. I'm just, like I said, I'm just literally regurgitating
Yeah.
what I've heard.
okay.
That is it. So, 7, I don't know what that could just be, something just 7. I don't
Yeah.
know.
You don't know what he asked, so it can't
Exactly.
bias your brain to give a certain
Exactly.
answer. Okay. And you didn't go on that with these guys.
No.
No.
Okay.
So, I mean, could it be paranormal? Could it be that we were talking to some spirit? Who knows? I mean, I like to be skeptical about this stuff because if I can't see it, we can hear a lot of cool things and
Yep.
different things like that, but
When I hear the drumming of hooves, I think horses, not zebras, that old
Right.
adage. But when you get so many coincidences like that, which are interesting, you kind of have to take them
Right.
into account.
Exactly. Because, you can write off a lot of things if it's coincidence. But when things are happening in rapid succession, you're kind of like, I don't know about the coincidence thing.
Sure. At that point, you've got statistical significance.
Right.
well, and in a cave where you don't get the signal, I can't explain that. I mean, if I was in a house or if I was in here in your office doing this, I can explain that. I mean, because you'd have a radio station right here, or you'd have a radio station near, or
Shouldn't be
whatever.
shocked.
It's
Right.
not necessarily shocking unless it correlates exactly with what she may have told us or what we know about the history of the place. But
Yeah.
the cave, there's nothing that should have come through on that.
200
Right.
feet underground. Did you test it against like another portable? Do you have another portable radio? Because everybody carries portable radios around with them.
No.
no.
Yeah.
But you couldn't go live on your phones, correct?
No,
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 we
see, we
Oh,
had
you
no
don't
signal
signals.
underneath. Yeah.
Because we were going to try to
Yeah.
do some Facebook Live things because we do have followers like, hey, if the clients are okay with it, we're like,
Sure.
hey, so we can talk to them and stuff.
Oh, it'd be exciting.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Who's sakes? We got nothing.
Oh, and-
Hey, what was your take on the cave, Danny?
Well, it's kind of funny. I love listening to these guys thinking, oh, scientific. Oh, we got to have some proof here. Because I just sit back and laugh because I can feel, I know when spirit's around. So it's kind of a fun, I don't know, different take on it. But
Sure.
anyway, Scott and I had gone through, did the walkthrough with one of the employees of the cave. And
Like a tour guide?
The manager.
yeah,
It was
the manager. And there were different places where I picked up different spirits. And in one room, there were 2 miners I could feel that had maybe gotten into an altercation. There was a woman in a period clothing that I could see in several different places. One of the cool things that I also saw, which really confused me, was I saw a dark colored dog. And I really couldn't imagine why there would be a dog.
Goosebumps. I don't
Like
want to
as a
say
dog?
that.
Yes. But when we were finished, we met with the owner, Tom, and he validated that he takes his dog in there when he does work in there.
Okay.
And one time there was, the dog just barked and wouldn't go into the cave with him.
No.
And that's what I saw was the dog bark.
No.
But and the one room that I did see the 2 miners in, these guys had the SLS camera and picked
On the
up 2 stick
investigation.
figures.
Sure, and
on
that's the
investigation.
3D one that sends out all the dots.
Yep,
Right,
yep.
but then it gives you the stick figures.
Yeah.
You know, if it's picking up something.
And what's interesting about that was there's never been any evidence of 2 miners in the cave. I mean, the guy that found the cave was a miner,
Okay.
but it was just him. It wasn't like he went in there with somebody else
So
or
they
anything like that.
say
So
now.
they say, but there's never been any proof of this or evidence. And so when she picked it up, it was kind of a dispute. It was kind of,
That doesn't line up with
it didn't line
history.
up with anything.
But that's
right.
almost good because you're getting you may have another lead to follow. Have you taken like a metal detector?
Well, no, but I mean, when we went back in with the SLS camera and we picked up the 2 in the back of the cave where she said, it kind of changed the whole theory of the cave. Maybe I don't know. I mean, it's hard to say what it was or who it was
Yeah.
because you can't see faces or anything like that.
When
so.
you were asking about a metal detector, I'm walking through the cave. This is during the investigation. I have one of the millimeters.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just the EMF, we're getting kind of weird spikes, but it's also when you're close to the cave wall, it's starting to hit really weird. And I was like, why is it doing this? The how do you pronounce it? Manganese, is that what you call it?
Okay.
It's causing our EMF stuff to go off.
Oh, really?
So what you have to do now is, well, you got to nip that in the bud. You can't rely on
Throw it
those
out.
now.
Yep. Now this is thrown out.
Exactly. Now this cave was super damp. There's water dripping, so we whip out the periscopes, which measure static.
Sure.
Not a lot of static in a place that's really damp.
nice. Mm-hmm.
They're going off.
Hmm.
Exactly. That's exactly what we said.
That's fascinating. I don't even know where to begin with that.
And those were going off back where Scott and them with the SLS camera picked up the miners or
Right.
whatever the people are. I don't know if
But
they were,
not like everywhere else in random intervals, specifically where you picked up the 2. And
right.
you're nodding your head, yes.
I'm just agreeing.
Well,
you
just
know,
agreeing.
And the thing with Danny is, like I said earlier, we've never run across, as a team, we've never run across that evil or demonic, the thing that you see on TV every 5 minutes, on a
Sure.
TV show.
There's
That's
something
exciting,
crawling
though.
backwards down the
Right,
hallway.
right. Everybody
Right.
automatically thinks that when they hear footsteps in their house, they got
It's
the
Satan
devil living there.
And his loyal minion.
Yeah,
That's
and
right.
that's garbage.
Are you
That's-
seeing more on the religious side rather than simply like a ghost, paranormal, regular person spirit
Are we
side?
seen like that?
Well, do people have that response where they
Both.
think it's more of a religious response than perhaps a
I think
residual?
Like Scott, I think it's
both.
both, and it's individual. It depends on the place that we're investigating and the people that you live there or own the building. Let's say,
Yeah.
Right.
because some people are religious and some people aren't. Same thing with the team. There's people on the team that are very pious. Some of us, not so much.
But we've never run across that as the team.
Sure.
Even though
But
she says we have.
she says we've run across it all the time. They just kind of avoid us. And
There are negative energies out there. There
Okay.
are those things that appear like they appear in the scary movies. Why they appear that way, I don't know. They're just negative energies. So just like we have the good, we have the bad, we have the light, we have the dark. I can see them and I can sense them, so I can interact with them. And these guys don't, use that ability at this time. They could, because we all have it. But
I'm about as sensitive as a rock.
so we do encounter it more often than they think. And I will give one example, which is one of my favorite experiences. We were in a house in Spearfish, I
Is that
believe.
where Mark moved real quick?
Yes.
Oh yeah, that was awesome.
So there was,
That was
an
awesome.
I love the excitement.
there was an earthbound spirit who had kind of a negative vibe about him. So he wasn't really necessarily anything demonic, but he was negative. He was causing some, you can feel the energy of that in the home.
And the way she described him, he was creepy.
Yeah, he was creepy the way
I
she
mean,
described it.
You know,
So I was in one room sitting on the floor, and two guys, Mark and
Me.
Scott, were in the hallway, and I could see them both standing in doorways. And all of a sudden, I saw the man standing very close to Mark, and I felt he was going to step into Mark's body. And I said to Mark, if you get a strange feeling, you need to move quickly. And I didn't even get the sentence out. He moved. He was already feeling it. The hair on the back of his neck.
Somebody
was
shot
standing
him.
up.
Yeah,
Oh,
Yeah,
that was
right.
awesome.
But this man, this energy was trying to affect Mark. So
Well, and funny you should bring that up. Remember when we were upstairs, the very top floor, and I was sitting in one of the kids' rooms, and I saw something out in the foyer making faces at me. It was really weird. It's like some little creepy thing going. You're making all kinds of, and I was like, "What is this about?"
and I also saw that.
And she saw. I was like, "Danny, are you seeing this?" Because I thought maybe it's dark. It's late. My brain's kind of just.
Inside or outside?
No, it was inside.
It was inside. So it's not a kid out in the window.
yeah.
No.
And some of the stuff
And
she'll
it's a third
describe
floor.
when we get stuff like that, because I had a similar experience. Her and
Yes.
I were upstairs with Mark, and the homeowner was up there with us, and I started getting this feeling like they were all around me, like on all four sides of me, which I've never had that experience. I've never had it where I feel like I'm surrounded.
That sounds
And
really strange.
It was strange, but it was I kind of let it go. I mean,
Because that's
It
what
was-
we do. We can't run from it. We
Yeah.
have to go, this is kind of cool, I hope.
it was creepy.
Yeah.
You know, the creepiest part about that, though, was when you described the spirit at the head of the stairs. She said she was a little girl
Yep.
with hair hanging over her eyes, and she just stood there at the top of the stairs.
That's like something
And
out
she
of the
would
ring
move,
or
she would
something.
move closer, but she wouldn't like come towards. And I was like, that stuck with me for a while because I'm like,
So when they say they don't encounter negative energy,
Yeah, look at this.
it's,
Well, I
it's
mean-
only what they want to believe.
No, well, I
mean-
asked Danny when I said, "Are you seeing this? This thing's making faces at me." I wasn't scared or anything. I was just like, "What is this?"
I kind of think that is where the audio clip that you're going to share is from.
I've
yeah,
got
it
right
is.
here.
It is. That's from the house. Yep.
But that was downstairs when we were all downstairs in the dining room area. We were all just BSing, and a female voice comes across. Well, I'll let everybody listen to it.
Yeah, we'll listen. And then I also have it kind of pumped up a little like they do in the show. So I've got a version here with a little bit louder. So let's play this and see what people think.
You ready?
Good. Just tell me when.
Can you hear it?
Move over here for a second.
It's right at
Okay.
the beginning.
And that is the part where it's just played. So if nobody caught it, we'll play it one more time for folks.
And then we'll explain what they should be listening for, because if they don't
Yeah.
know,
And then I'll play that boosted version of this. Okay, here
okay.
we go. One more time. One more time.
You ready? Good. Just tell me when.
Move over here for a second.
Because you can hear all of us talking, and then in the background there's a whisper.
Right. In that whisper, do you want to tell them what it says, or do you want me to play the?
Play it first, and then we can explain.
Okay, here is the version that's a little bit louder. And that one's a little bit shortened up. It's hard to quite get that, but you can hear it if you sit here with headphones and you actually listen. It comes through clear as day, and that says what?
Everyone's scared.
And it's a female's voice, kind of right.
Exactly. And at that moment, we really weren't actively investigating. We were down in the dining room areas. I think we were setting up equipment, actually.
Mhm.
And that's when you heard Mark say, "Hey, is everybody ready?" Because we were getting ready to start our investigation. And then that female comes over and everyone is scared. And we didn't hear this at the time of the investigation. Of course, we go home, we're listening to our audio recording equipment, and you're like, "Whoa, hey, check this out. Look what we just picked up."
That's incredible. And you guys must have a lot of those kind of EVPs on file
Times.
for days.
Times.
Yeah, you're gonna make your own CD out of it.
Right.
Well, and a lot of them are even better than that. I mean,
Right,
some
sure.
of them are You know, like you hear your own voice right now. They're clear as day.
Oh, well, she's got one.
Yeah, I've got the whole.
for peanut butter.
They brought in a big thumb drive here, so I've got a lot of the files. If you know a file name, I can probably
Yeah.
pull one up. Mo's gonna move away from the microphone.
Yes, yes.
Let me in.
All right, we've got carpet.
Don't-
Nope.
don't read it.
Carports.
Yes.
Yours.
Okay. This one.
This one right here in
Yep.
the middle. Okay, let's go with that. We're gonna import this thing, live audio. Ooh, I'm gonna have to turn that up just a hair. All
And
right,
a lot of people get creeped out by this one because this is clear as Scott, myself, and Danny Joe are talking to everyone right now.
okay.
And we'll explain this when you get done
Exactly.
playing it because it's creepy. The story behind it is even creepier. So
All right, let's play.
Now, did you hear that?
Yeah, and just repeat what you said. I had your mic off.
Oh no, I just said, did you hear that?
I'm coming.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll let Scott set up the scenario that
Well-
it happened under.
So this house was built in 2008, and there's only been 2 owners. Nobody's ever passed in the house.
It's a new neighborhood
New
too.
neighborhood. So we know everything probably came from the land. We got more EVPs out of that house than we normally do because we
Yeah.
normally, on an average, we'll get maybe 6 EVPs, 4 to 6.
Mm-hmm.
This house, I think we got 13 or 14.
It was just a ridiculous amount.
Yeah. So Mark had his recorder in a crawl space under the stairs,
Ooh.
and we were all upstairs.
We were all upstairs. You could barely hear us in the background BS
Yep.
because we're upstairs just
and then
talking.
we get the EVP you just played. So you can imagine. I mean, if your mind wanders, who is this woman that's living under the stairs that says, "I'm coming"? And why did she say that?
Why
What
is
did she
Danny
mean?
doing laughing again?
She's probably sensing some.
Yeah, this
vibe
is
going
long
on.
before Danny was on the team.
Yes, I wasn't around for that.
Okay, otherwise, that's wild. Yeah, that one comes from really clear. So in a new house, in a new neighborhood, because usually you associate the idea of hauntings or ghosts with,
Dilapidated homes. They're
At
all
the end of the
scary and
block.
creepy. Exactly.
and now this is where I play the Exorcist theme song. So,
Right.
but for a new house, new neighborhood, and you don't have any real theories, but you have this kind of odd vocalizing on here. How do you?
And that was captured in a neighborhood on the east side of Rapid City.
Okay.
Okay. And the only thing, and then we're just throwing this out here, the only thing we can possibly theorize is maybe somebody, back in when the pioneers, well, not pioneers, but people were moving out here, they might have set up camp for the night or something, in that particular area. Maybe
Sure.
something happened. Or maybe they just had a lot of energy that just imprinted itself. We don't know.
Right.
I don't think that was an intelligent one. I don't know. But it might have been residual, which we haven't explained yet.
Let's
Because
do that.
when we get our audio clips, there's 2 different types of audio you can pick up.
Yeah.
There's intelligent and then there's residual. Residual is just something that is there that replays for we don't know why, but it just does.
Mhm.
Intelligent is if Scott goes, "Hi, I'm Scott. What's your name?" And then you get the EVP that says, "Oh, my name's Bob." Okay, yeah. Now we're like, "Oh, that's weird." And along with the EVPs, we have something that is called a disembodied voice. Those are ones we hear in real time. You've got all your equipment out, but you're hearing somebody talk to you from the other room.
Sure.
And that does happen to us, pretty frequently. Not all the time, but it's not uncommon.
Wow.
Where you were, and the clients will call us and say, "Hey, I'm hearing voices, out in the back bedroom." So we look for TV, radio, what the neighbors have playing, if they have loud stereos.
Yeah.
But sometimes you're in places where there's nobody else around.
And the creepy part about that is when they know your name. So like
Exactly.
we'll be in places and they'll say our names.
Yeah.
And you're going, how do you? I mean,
Sometimes it's cool to be popular, sometimes not so much.
yeah.
That is incredible. And for anybody who just tuned in, FYI, we're talking to Black Hills Paranormal Investigations, and you guys are out of Rapid. And where?
Yes.
And just so people know, if they think they've got a ghost, and now they know who to call, where can they get a hold of you guys?
Well, we have a Facebook page, Black Hills Paranormal. Also, we do have a website, bhparanormal.com, and on that it has contact information. You can email us.
Yeah.
And usually the first person you're going to talk to is Scott.
Great.
And then you can call and say, I think, Satan's in my house or whatever's going on, obviously.
Satan's in my house.
I'm exaggerating.
Well, it's not much of an exaggeration.
We do
Some of the
get-
emails we've gotten are
Yeah,
just
some of
like,
them are kind of weird.
wow.
Are some people trolling you and just looking for
I
reaction?
think
Yes.
some are, and then I think some are just so freaked out over certain things that happen in their house. You hear a water drop coming out of your sink, and they think it's the ninth gate of hell opening up. I'm not trying to be
I love
mean,
Danny
but
Joe's reaction.
that's the truth. I mean, but I do think some people troll us just to see if we're legit and if they can get a reaction out
And
of us.
some people really don't have anything going on, but they want to be part of an investigation.
Yeah.
So they want us to come.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And we get that too.
How do you tell those people that aren't sincere?
You can tell.
Oh, really? They're just, I heard my uncle. in the-"
Right. And then,
Okay.
you know, after they email us, more likely Scott or myself will call them and we'll talk to them on the phone. And then you can start separating stuff out.
Okay.
You know, as the answers they're giving you, and they're, oh, well, you know, not a lot's happening, but I really want you guys to come by because it would be super cool.
Oh, really?
That's not what we're about.
You're like, yeah, let's spend a lot of gas money and time
Right.
and time away from
Yep.
our families to go
Right.
entertain you. Sure.
Exactly.
But this is a great way to entertain thousands of people at once on
Mhm.
radio. So I do. But this is really interesting stuff, and I'm super fascinated by it. And you guys have a bunch more investigations coming up in October, which is kind of why we're talking now, because your schedule is about to get busy,
Mhm.
right? Scott's going,
Every October, we do, they call them paranormal tours with Deadwood History at the Adams House.
sure.
It's the first Friday and Saturday for first 3 weeks.
First 3 weeks, yeah.
Wow.
And
Friday.
there's 4 or 5 things a night that we'll take people through. So it's
All night.
all night. Yeah, the last one goes off at like 10:30, 11, something like that, and goes till 12:30, 1 o'clock, whatever it is.
If people want to get involved with that and go along, then how can they do that? Is this open to the public?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Deadwoodhistory.com.
Deadwoodhistory.com.
Okay.
And then you have to sign up because was it $30, $35? I can't remember exactly how much it is because we don't get paid, obviously.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's for them. You pay your money, and then
That is so worth it. So,
you know, the fun thing is we have repeat customers, for a lack of better terms.
okay.
But people are coming from like Wyoming. We've had people fly from New York every year
Really?
just for the tours.
Every year.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's ridiculous.
That-
You would think we'd be rich or something, but we're not.
They don't have enough haunted things in New York.
Right. Right?
Maybe they
But-
love Deadwood
but
history.
see-
I think it's Deadwood that draws them.
Sure.
You know,
I
I really
agree.
do the history of
And
Deadwood.
a lot of people really like Black Hills Paranormal because I don't know how else to put this. We're super legitimate, and I think our credibility is way up there because we don't chase dust balls and just be
Truth.
exactly, and just
Orbs, as
because
some people
right,
have probably heard that.
and just because you hear the house settling, that's not the Roman legion marching through your living room. But see,
Well,
people
maybe
see,
it is, Danny.
yeah, maybe we're all wrong.
There's so much like good natured humor going on
Yeah.
between all you guys.
It's a fun team, and I will
Yeah.
say this is a great group of professionals to work with, and they are fun to investigate with. So
And on going off of that too, we've had a lot of people that claim to be mediums approach us in the past. There's nobody that we've found that even has the ability to do what she does.
And the interesting thing, Scott, is for years, somebody calls him a medium. Thank you. We're, very nice. Thank you, but no thank you, because that's not our angle.
Mhm.
And Danny Joe reached out to us, and it was a weird thing. Everybody on the team at the same time was like, yeah, let's check her out.
Which
That's never
has
happened.
Never
before.
happened before.
Wow.
Ever.
Yeah, and then we met her, and it's like, oh, she's weird like the rest of us. Perfect fit.
This is great. Well, it's so funny to see you guys, and nobody's like glancing a mean look or something. You guys are joking. You're serious. You've got the science, so it's just such a wonderful team aspect that's going on. How big is your team?
There are 6 of us,
Okay,
and the other 3 people couldn't make it today.
sure. Well, that's
who-
good because I just have 3
obviously.
microphones right now.
Right. And but also with that, the fun thing is we get a lot of people that email us, oh, I want to be on your team. When's your next team meeting? Well, first off, none of your business.
Yeah.
Second of all, we just don't arbitrarily and willy-nilly just pick people out of the ether, if you will, to be on the team.
Mhm.
Anybody we bring on the team, we have a very strict vetting process. And if you don't mesh with every single one of us, it's a no-go. And we've had people that might be on, we brought them in for a week, bring them on an investigation, and they're not meshing with people. So,
Well,
end of the story.
you're not only working with very expensive equipment that you purchase yourselves, you're working late, I imagine, in almost every case,
Yes.
and then you're working voluntarily. So that's a system that has to work very well for
Right.
it to operate.
I think the biggest part of that is the confidentiality, because they're
No loud mouths allowed.
especially the residentials. People don't want their house getting listed out there that you have a spirit in the house. I mean, we have a lot of fans on Facebook or wherever, and I'm not saying they would do this, but there are times that they may go look for these places or see these places?
Will you take call-ins?
Do you guys want to take some?
I don't
calls?
care. That'd be
Yeah.
fun.
Let's do it now.
Line one.
Line one. All right, we're going to take this call, and this is going to be a little bit tough for you guys because what I have to do is turn your microphones off so we can hear them.
Sure.
Okay.
So, okay, are you there, caller?
Yeah, sure am. I'll just say, I know Danny. She probably knows who this is, and I am the skeptic in the world. However, I met one of these guys, and knowing Danny, nobody here tries to hear. If you don't believe, that's your choice. And that's kind of one thing that has drawn me into it a little more, is these guys will not try and convince you otherwise. If you don't believe, you don't believe. And I just wanted to say, for the people listening, these guys they're not fake. I mean, if you don't want to believe, you don't have to believe. You know, it's just the way they are.
That's amazing. Well, thank you for calling in. Do you guys want to say anything to him? I can.
Yes. Thank you for that vote of confidence. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Love you, Fluffy.
Okay, there he goes. Well, that's great. You have over the phone kind of what are those called again? Where you vouch for a business or oh my gosh, I'm missing words out of my vocabulary at this moment. But that was testimony. Did you just hear
Yeah.
Elsie?
That was a
That
disembodied
was a
voice.
disembodied
Did you guys hear that? It's a testimony.
Great
Yeah.
testimony.
You were wrong. It's a female.
Yeah, exactly.
That was a disembodied voice. Elsie shouted from the front
But,
room.
you know,
A
that
testimony.
that was interesting, and I think that's kind of fun because just like when we did that X Zone out of Canada,
Yeah.
the radio show. See, that was it's a podcast kind of thing, so people
Cool.
aren't allowed to interact.
Sure.
You just sit. It's just like with Miami Ghost Chronicles when we were on, because we've been on all kinds of stuff over the years.
Yeah. Well, if
But-
anybody else wants to call in real quick, the number is 605-892-2571.
Sure, that'd be fun.
And that would be great. And we'll see if anybody else does. I appreciate him calling in. That's fantastic.
That was neat.
So, where
Huh?
were we before we just got completely
I
sidetracked?
forgot.
Yes.
That's not uncommon for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I think we were talking about Danny.
Yes.
How,
Yeah.
as far as her ability and what she brought to the table, because like most said, we've never entertained any of that before. I mean,
Sure.
we've listened to them. They've never been able to prove us or to prove their ability to us. But for whatever reason, when she came on, she was just kind of that fit.
It's
you know?
just
we just
yeah.
knew.
And we a couple of times a year we'll give public presentations. We'll be invited to some place like in a school or to
Yeah.
give a presentation. And invariably at the end, somebody always comes up to you and goes, "Hi, my name's Bob. I see dead
Yeah.
people." Well, okay, tell them we said hi. I mean, really? You have just because you say these things to us, I'm not taking it at face value. That's not how we operate.
Yeah.
And there's people that I'm so psychic. Not really.
And we're not trying to be condescending
No.
with that, but it's just the fact that no, you're
It's
not. I'm sorry, you're not.
There was a strange series of events that brought us together. And honestly, they have encountered a few people who have needed some help after their investigations. And I think the timing was perfect.
Yeah.
And I was meant to be the person to help these people after their investigations. So it just kind of lined up the way that the universe meant for it to. And that is my belief. But we do mesh like we've been friends forever. These people are like family to me. And I honestly, in an investigation, want to be comfortable with the people I'm with. And there isn't anybody on the team that I'm not.
That's fantastic. Well, just for FYI, we passed the top of the hour, which means you've been listening to the Country Twins, KBFS AM Belfouche and KYDT FM Finding Even Sundance. You look like you were going to say something.
Well, no, she brought up a good point that until she came on the team, we never had any closure with our investors. I mean, we would bring people evidence and different things like that, but we basically was like, sorry, your spirit's still here. It's going to be here forever.
Right, but with that being said, of course, this is prior to bringing Danny Joe on the team. But we told people at the beginning, we don't banish or anything like that. We're not going to bring you a ghost in a bag or a jar for you to hang on to.
Sure.
All we can do is come in and document
Well,
if anything is happening, and then show you what we've captured.
Right. And so with her coming on the team, it gives them that second option. They can either
If they
have
want.
it stay there, or she can get rid of it if they want it. And I think that's an important piece that we were kind of missing was,
I agree. And the neat thing, though, when we investigate, of course, like if you're a homeowner or a business owner, we invite you to stay and
Yeah.
investigate with us
Yeah.
because a lot of times there might be activity, but it's very mundane. It's not hurting anyone. And once you can put a face on it, I guess for lack of better terms, the people all of a sudden are okay with it.
Well, and the other reason behind that is we walk into a house, just the six of us, and the spirit is like, who the hell are these guys? You know, we're not going to do anything. But they're familiar with the homeowners a lot of times, with the business owners, and there might be more activity when the owners are there than say like 6 guys in black sweatshirts walk in.
Right.
You know,
Why the black sweatshirts?
because it's cool.
And it goes with
No,
everything.
it's dark.
Yeah.
I mean, you know.
And now I need to be clear, like, it's like on all the TV shows, we do the same thing, i.e. investigate in the dark.
Sure.
It's not for a creep factor. Okay.
Yeah.
It's dark, so you got a lot of power, less power going on for the meters and stuff. Also, if anything's going to try to manifest like a light source, you're going to see it. Otherwise, it'd be like trying to see a flashlight beam in the daytime. You can't see it. Also, at night, we investigate. We start 9, 10 o'clock at night. Ambient noise, it's quieter. Everybody's going to sleep. People are in their homes. So you're not getting the kids running up and down the street, dogs barking all, cars going by. And so it really does help us.
Well, that's for anybody who has ever wondered why at nighttime. Those are all very, great reasons to do that.
Yeah, it doesn't mean spirit activity just happens at night. I mean,
Exactly.
It happens all through the day.
Because what's there at night is definitely there during the day too. So
Sure. Well, that's fantastic. Is there anything else that I feel like this time has just flown by.
right.
This is we've gone from the gear part of the show to the story part to the call-in part. We've now just had probably the best live show that I've ever done. So
Thank you.
That's what we do.
This has been fun. Anytime we have a chance to share, our experiences or what we're about with the public, it's a win-win for us. It really is.
Well, I appreciate it. Thank you guys so much for coming in. This is Black Hills Paranormal Investigations. Check them out at bhparanormal.com or on Facebook. Is there anything else you'd like to leave, some parting words for our listeners?
There's some more audio clips if you wanted to play.
Yeah. But
let's rock another audio clip then. And I won't say the file name this time. How about that?
I'm going to jump up so I can
Yep.
point stuff
All right,
out to you.
moving away from the microphone one more time.
That's what he does.
All right, next time you come into the studio, I'm going to get you a lavalier. That's what's going to happen. All right,
Now, this is kind of neat.
first one or second one?
Let's start with the first one. See how clear that comes out. I'll explain it.
Here we go. He said, start with this, and then we're going to play it, and then he will explain it. So let me just amplify this a little bit, and we may have, no, that's a call in from Arkansas. Nope, probably not. All right, so let's listen to this.
Did you hear it? Did you hear it?
I heard something on the end. Let me replay
Yep.
it a little bit here. One more time with this. That sounded like a woman's voice.
And it says, please help. We were investigating a business in Rapid City.
Okay.
And, we
We're
have,
trying to find them on YouTube or
On our YouTube. It's on Country Twins.
KBFS.com.
Nope, on our actually we're streaming live right now on our YouTube channel, which is under the Country Twins KBFS KYDT. I will tell our caller here. So hey caller, I got you on the air and I'll help you find our live stream, but where are you calling in from? Oh, fantastic. And you can find us on YouTube. We're doing a live stream right now. Just go to youtube.com and then type in the Country Twins. And you should see our little logo pop up. So are you on a computer where you can do that?
I've always been interested in this since I've been with my husband. He's always had something follow him around since he was about 12. And, every once in a while the bed will shake and you can hear voices and stuff. It's really interesting thing.
Mo's crossing he's furrowing his brow.
well, I was trying to listen to her. So,
Here, I'm going to give Mo the microphone over here so he can talk to you. How about that? Come here, Mo.
okay.
Why don't you sit in the hot
Okay.
seat? Let's put our investigator Mo on.
Yeah. Okay, now one more time. You said the bed shakes?
While since we've been married for 16 years, so you kind of get used to it,
Wow. And you said your husband thinks something has followed him since he was young.
Yeah, he was in a motorcycle wreck when he was 12, and his cousin passed away behind him. And ever since then, he had experiences.
Yeah, because from my end of it, from what it sounds like, the good news is it doesn't sound like anything bad. I wonder if it's.
We don't feel bad. We don't feel anything bad.
I wonder if it could be maybe a relative that had passed on. It's kind of watching out for him too.
Yeah, it was a cousin actually.
Oh, see, that's very interesting. Danny, you pick up anything on that?
I'm not really focusing on it, but yeah, I do think that you can't hear me.
No, that's why I said come over here.
We'll just listen and pass it along.
But yeah, wow. And so that's the only things that have happened.
Oh no, we hear voices and stuff. You can hear my little one's talking. You can hear like conversations, but you can't understand what they're saying most of the time. Carriages, and I feel like the babies are still around. You can hear them. So they'll say like "mama." It's like right in your ear, and you're like, "Oh crap!"
Wow, that is interesting.
Where are they going?
Right, Wyoming, up to Wyoming.
Yeah, right. So wow, that is interesting. And so you guys haven't called. You guys haven't had any? You haven't spoken to anybody as far as like paranormal groups, psychics, mediums, or anything like that?
No.
Huh? Because I'm curious to see what that might be. Because like I said, it doesn't sound like it's anything you need to panic about, but it would be interesting.
Malice. We just think, we're Christians and we believe we just got people watching over us.
And that very well could be. And if you want to talk about it more, what you can do, you can email us at
On our Facebook.
Yeah, on our Facebook page too. You can send us a private message.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Yeah, and then what we'll do is we can have Scott talk to you, later on after we're done with all this.
That's nice.
And also, thank you for calling in.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you for
All right. You take care.
Bye-bye.
All right, now we're gonna switch back over and trading seats with Mo back in front of the microphone. All right, we had another caller. It looks like
Oh wow.
But thank you for taking. What do you think? What's your initial thoughts on when you get something like that? When somebody says the bed was shaky and we're having these problems, I'm not scared of it. But do you get a lot of those kind of?
Actually, we do. But what was kind of interesting when the lady was talking about the bed shaking, and they're not scared of it.
Yeah.
Usually, people are terrified.
That sounds frightening.
Exactly.
Now
If my bed was shaking and it wasn't because, if you notice, I flop around all the time anyway.
All
But
the time.
yeah, yeah. But that's kind of it. I don't want to say it's a red flag, but it's something that piques your interest. Okay, the bed shakes, but it doesn't scare them. So obviously, like she said, this has been happening off and on for years, and they're used to it now. So it's not a new development, but why would that bed be shaking? Now, what we normally do is if we go, like, let's say, went to their house, there's a railroad track or something nearby, that would cause that.
Your geophone, is that what it's called again?
Yes.
That measures.
Exactly.
That's
And
a good
see-
tool for that job.
Right. Put that on the bed and see if anything, and then put it on a dresser too to see is the whole room doing this, or is it just the bed?
Yeah.
But also when she hears the voices, especially of babies, that's interesting.
Yeah.
That's interesting, and we want to know why. And she told us what she thinks it might be.
Sure.
But from what, and also, it's a very quick conversation. But from that conversation, I don't really expect there's anything malicious about what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
But it would be interesting to find out, if we could, who it might be.
Wow.
Is it like the proverbial guardian angel? Is it a member of the family
Mm-hmm.
that's passed on and just maybe hanging out to watch over things? We don't know.
Could be anything. Well, that was a cool call in with some activity.
Uh-huh.
So I think we'll wrap her up here, and then we'll get everybody back to the Laura Ingraham show. But I do know one thing, and that is that we've got to have you guys on again after your investigations conclude for October and give us an update. So we might have to.
Yeah, and if you haven't bought those tickets yet for Deadwood History or for the
Yes.
Adams House tours, buy them. Go to Deadwood History right away.
And
Because we don't know. I mean, they sell out this time of the year. They go really fast, and you want to get into the good tours, and not to say that there's a good tour over a bad tour, but get the tour that you want. They're going to
Get the tickets
secure
now.
fast.
Oh, sure.
And also something that we didn't bring up real quick, and I
Yeah.
do this during the tours. We do something what I call a slam EVP session
Okay.
because we'll carry an audio recorder, but you can't go for an hour and a half tour and then sit there for an hour and a half.
Right.
You know, and listen, you can't. So what I'll do is I'll run it for a minute or two maybe while we're doing the tours, you know, in different rooms and stuff, and then we'll play it back while the people are there with us. Sometimes we capture stuff. Sometimes we don't. And what we do sometimes, if we get some significant ones, we'll put them up on our page. When actually, with the little thumb drive I gave you, there's one on there. It's pretty
Oh, yeah.
interesting.
Don't let me forget to give you that when you leave.
Right, right.
I got the little cap sitting over here. But that's great. Get the tickets, and they can get the tickets now today. Better get them before they sell out.
Yeah,
People come
right.
from New York for these things.
Yeah.
So 'tis the season.
Tis
folks.
the season.
And that's an unfortunate thing for us. I mean, don't get me wrong, the Adams House tours are very cool.
Yeah.
But you know, our peak season obviously is fall, winter.
Yeah.
Summertime we kind of slow down as far as investigations, but then people are outside. It's light later, people are out barbecuing and carrying on. Wintertime you kind of get, you know, you're locked into your home now, it gets dark early, and of course all the scary movies come on the TV and the movies. And so we get people calling us, oh my God, Satan is at my house. Well, and you just watch The Conjuring or something. And,
Sure.
you know, and that's something we do look for when we do a walkthrough. We look what kind of books are on your bookshelf.
Oh,
What kind of DVDs do you have?
Yeah.
Because some people, they get so wrapped up into this, or they watch the TV shows, which are super cool. But two things: you're getting a highlight reel, but also you're getting stuff that's overblown. It has to be exciting, or nobody's going to watch the TV show.
Well, Taps came out in 2002.
Right.
Was that 2002
Yep.
already? Lord, it's been a long time.
Something around there.
Yeah, the early 2000s, maybe
Yeah.
6 or something like that. Probably closer to 2006. But yeah, it's been a hot minute since that happened. But that's opened up this kind of a thing to a lot
time.
more,
Big
a
time.
lot wider audience.
You know, and the other thing I think that people need to realize about us is we don't charge for anything that we do.
Sure.
Everything we do is free. So I mean, if you call us, or if it's a matter of, you know, you're worried about what we're going to charge, there's no charge to anything that
This
we
is
do.
science, people.
Yeah, I mean,
Right.
you know, we can't bottle this stuff. If we could, it'd be great.
And of course, the more we learn, the more questions we have.
Sure.
Like, why are we picking up the things we're picking up?
Yeah.
And there's theories out there, but they're like the stars. There's so many.
Absolutely. Well, that's fantastic. Thank you guys again. Black Hills Paranormal Investigations. Do check them out. Get out to those cool Deadwood investigations. And I'll have to snag some of those EVPs, and then I'll play them at later dates for everybody. So thanks for listening. Right now, we will get you back into the Laura Ingram Show here in just a moment.
Cool. Wow. That went for a while, boys and girls.
Yeah, I didn't think it was that late.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Where's my Laura?
an.com.
It's on air. Okay.
Well,
Oh,
when
this
you're
is what
ready,
happens when I don't wear a hat.
when you're ready, you can call Gary at the.
I will. I've got
I'm gonna run up to him.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Is Carl or anybody else here yet?
Just Bob.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hold on, let me get everything rolling back in where it should be.
Here's the
I'm going.
adopt a dog or cat.
Why be that way?
Visit the shelter.
You guys think no?
So a minute, for a minute.
I am saving that so you guys will have that audio file. And
Yeah, I got that reading it.
Yeah.
It's 10:30, but
Uh-oh,
now
you
it's
better